Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to uh, the Sick of This Show Notes of the Week. It's Nick Paro and Walter Rhein. As always, my good friend coming in, hanging out. Um, I'm just getting all my screens pulled up in the chat for Substack. Good morning, everyone. As you come on in, please hit that heart, share the live, join us. Good morning, folks at Centered America, Sherrod, Gavin, whichever or both of you are here. Glad you're all here. Walter, how are you doing, my friend? Level
Oh,
36 magic user. We're having
yeah.
some fun today. Um,
Oh
and
man,
we're
I'm so glad you know how to handle all this technology stuff, and you have patience for me. Hello, all the wonderful people. Yeah, and I'm so delighted. You asked for some pictures. My daughters had those lovely pictures of the people sketching, so it's so fun to look at that. I like this technology stuff. We're ever upward,
yeah,
on a shoestring budget. We're doing pretty good.
yeah, for a shoestring budget of no budget,
Yeah,
basically, under budget,
yeah.
everything is. We have some really cool. I just want to make sure everybody gets to see the really cool artwork too. Is I'm probably going to pull it up on screen here if I can, um, if I'm able to download the artwork. But if you see in the background and on our title screen this morning, we had some, like Walter was saying, some sketches, and those are his daughter, right? Your daughter sketches.
Yep, yep.
Um, and I want to make sure that she gets a shout out. So Walter's daughter, I freaking love this artwork, and thank you so much for drawing and sketching this. It's so fun. It's so cute. It's so adorable. Like I want to tell my daughter about it because she loves artwork, drawing and art too, and I want to have it maybe a notes of the week or a show eventually where we get to show off our kids' artwork. Um, and
Absolutely.
just have fun, and be parents who get to have a great time with showing off their kids' work and how great they are.
Oh yeah.
So I want to start the morning off from a just a great happy note because um, the notes themselves that we have this week aren't happy,
Yeah.
but
Same old. Yeah.
we get to talk about them in from our point of view and our perspectives, and we don't have to take the bullshit of that it has to be all bad, even in the bad, because it's not, and we can do things that better. um, what's going on? So Walter, I want to hand it off to you for your note, um, and jump on in with it so that we can um, discuss, and I'll drop the link for everyone in the chat too in Substack. Um, yeah, everything, Bridget, everything is shit, but the art is a little relief.
Yeah.
Like that's why I always put like the beginning of these shows, and now that we're doing it here, we'll have it on there. Is the beginning of each of my shows. It's always a piece of music that I've written, and so it's just a snippets from some music, and so the show music for this one is a flute trio that I wrote when I think it was junior going into my senior year of college. And I went on or I got accepted into a music program that was in Paris. So I spent 2 summers in a row in Paris. And during my second summer, I wrote a flute trio for some friends that were there. And I got to play on Claude Debussy's piano. He performed on it, and that was so fucking cool to just get to play on. So anyone who doesn't know, Claude Debussy is a French composer. He wrote La Mer, and some other really beautiful music. Maybe we'll play some sometime, or snippets of some. One of my favorite composers of all time. He had synesthesia. Sorry, before we hand off, I just want to go on this tangent. He has synesthesia, so he heard music as colors, and
Oh yeah.
so he wrote like color wall impressionist music, um, and it was really beautiful. It's really fun to listen to because you can hear in La Mer, it's about the sea, obviously, because that's the name. It's French. And for anyone who doesn't know, La Mer is the sea. Hey, everyone in the chat, welcome. And the La Mer, sorry, I got off track for a second. La Mer sounds like the ocean, sounds like waves crashing, it's so beautiful. I may as well just pull up a small snippet and give everyone.
I see that Mason just said she finished the first draft of her first book, so that's fantastic. That's a wonderful achievement. Yeah, it's so wonderful. Get those drafts
Good morning,
done.
Courtney.
I think it was Steinbeck. Steinbeck said, always finish the draft before you go back and edit. Just get it done. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Okay, go ahead and play this wonderful song.
No, yeah, let me find it. And also, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Mason, Beth, Steph, Court, Yanni, Christiane, Lefty, Sushi, Caro, Fufara, I hope, and Chiquita, Arf.
I think those are the names of the dogs.
I love it. Dolly Mama. I love that name too.
That is a good name.
That one's always so fun to see. Bridget, it's good to see you. So everybody else too, welcome. I'm just pulling up a small piece of music before we get into the real world of
oh, it's so fun to share that music that you wrote too. That little flute thing, that was beautiful. It's so nice.
I could show that. I could play the whole piece too. Afterwards, like I'm cool with that. Take a little bit of time, do some music, and then we can talk about disasters in the world.
We got to do that kind of stuff.
Okay, let me do this one. Get past the ad real quick for all of y'all on this side.
Yeah, the artwork stuff is so lovely too, and just those kind of watercolor drawings, those always just make me happy. Just always looking at them. My girls, they use all kinds of different stuff though.
Oh, I'm going to just go into part of the piece. So this will be part way 2 minutes and 43 seconds in, just randomly in. Also to get rid of some of the like conductor walking in and bowing and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I'm going to move to share that tab. And then I'm going to move to our next screen. This is going to be fun. Boom. Okay. So this video is on YouTube. It is Bernard Haitink and the Royal Concert Bow. Somebody spelled wrong. It's a royal orchestra. Somebody paid a lot of money in one of the royal families to commission an orchestra, and that's really awesome. I'm glad they still do that.
Yeah.
So this is part of La Mer. Okay, I'll stop that there so I don't get into any copyright violations for too long on a piece of music. But yeah, that's one of my favorite pieces of music. So go listen to that. That's La Mer, and it's beautiful. Debussy just writes incredibly beautiful music, so I highly recommend his music. He's dead. I got to study with under one of the composers that was Nadia Boulanger, who was a contemporary of Claude Debussy. I think she She was either his teacher or taught by him, one of the other. I forget exactly on my music history. It's been a long time for music history for me. But I studied under her student for 2 summers, and that was really cool. And like I said, I got to play in Claude Debussy's piano. That was neat. Um, Let me play. I wonder if you can. Ooh, you should all be able to hear this, and we don't have to change anything. It is? Let me see how long it is. It's about 4 minutes. I'm gonna keep us unmuted on the screen, and it's just gonna play music. It's gonna be the full piece of the intro. Um,
Oh, good.
ooh, let me upload it first because that's the short version. Recents. And
Oh, and Mason's asking for the links for these songs too that you're
oh,
providing.
they are not available online.
Oh,
Uh,
but this one's yours, right? This is your composition.
yes, these are my compositions.
Nice.
This is music that I've written, and own. So this is only my music. I haven't published it anywhere. Um, I the folks who played in it each have their own copy. Of the recording, and they were always free to do with whatever they wanted for it. Um, but this one is called Lento Vivo. It is a flute trio that I wrote in Paris, and it was sort of inspired by just this simple movement of sound and color and transition. Um, so I hope y'all enjoy. That was Lento Vivo. I wrote that 2011, I believe, composed that, and had three friends play that while we were in Paris, France. I won't say their names because I don't have permission to say their names, and I don't want to. I don't know their leanings or ideologies. I haven't spoken to them in a while, so I don't want to offend them in any way. But their music was beautiful that they played for it. So I thank them still. And I love what they did. Um, Thanks for listening, everyone.
Oh, that was so lovely, Nick. It just makes me. I wasn't prepared for that, so that was good. It's nice. It's nice to get a pleasant surprise,
You're
and
welcome.
like somebody says, it does. It just instantly calms you. And I guess, gosh, if we take a little bit, something to be mindful of. My neighbor keeps telling me this. He's like, every time I go outside, we scream at the clouds for a little bit. Then he's like, you got to make sure you listen to classical music when you get back home. And I usually don't do it, but just having it in the. Well, I listen to ocean waves when I write. Just like that repetitive
Hmm.
sound. I listen to that to calm me down. Yeah, we'd have a little bit better world if we paused for a little bit. And I was just saying before this started, you got such a nice voice for these type of things. Hopefully, when sanity is restored, we can do this kind of a thing more often. I mean, your lovely voice introducing that and talking about it, get us all in this kind of state of better spiritual calm.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I've always wanted to be a radio host. Like, that was always a dream when I was a kid. So I've now decided to make it a reality,
Mm.
um, and do it as my day job. So, hey, everyone, come pay me. Come subscribe
Yeah,
to me on Substack, free or paid. But I'm trying to make it my day job, basically, to be not just a radio host, but your daily live podcast
yeah.
host. And
You should be able to have this go live 24 hours a day, right? The Nick, radio, all your compositions, all the other stuff. Why shouldn't we be able to just jump on Substack and listen to your music whenever we want it?
well, you might be able to here soon. I may actually post it because why not?
Yeah,
I
why
own
not?
it. I've written it. I also have the first movement to a orchestra recorded. I have a cello solo suite recorded. I have multiple piano suites and pieces recorded. Um, I have some digital music. I have a lot that is all saved. I have uh, all of my bound and written manuscripts for it still too in a in a really cool like old
Nice,
man suitcase,
nice.
like tweed outside, hinged, locked up. It's fun. I could do a sub page. That's Courtney. I can do a
Yeah,
sub page. That's my Substack's called "Sick of This Shit Publications," is because I want it to
yeah,
be a place to publish artwork from, like not only mine but other people's too. Like be able to, if other people have compositions like classical music and they want to have share their music with me, and share their music with everybody else and have it hosted somewhere, sure, why not? I love this idea. Um, but anyway, now we're going to shift topics away from getting our blood pressure down.
yeah. Let's
Uh,
get it back up again.
get our blood pressure back up a little bit for everybody. Um, so welcome again, everyone. It's Notes of the Week with Nick Paro and Walter Rhein. So we have Wizard of the Notes and a level 36 magic user. Um, and I'm excited to talk about these notes actually, because I think there's a lot we can get out of them. And always good to discuss Walter's notes and one of my own, and get y'all's thoughts on it. So, Walter, I'm going to hand it off to you with our new screen. And we've got your note up
Wow.
here for everybody, and I'll drop it in the chat in Substack so everybody can also link to it. Please, if you haven't already, like it, share it, do
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Wonderful. As again, I got to shift gears here, but I guess it's like something Ellie Leonard said. That there's these hard things we just have to look at that are going on right now, and we got to be protectors of our kids. And I mean, I got my kids' lovely drawings up there, and it's just
Mhm.
constantly under my mind. And I encourage all of you. I've been reading Virginia Giuffre's book, The Nobody's Girl, and it's hard. It's a hard book to read as a compassionate person, but at the same time, it's a lot of the things that she outlines, the abuses she outlines in that book, they line up with so much of what we see from the Republican Party and just the way that they're protecting these abusers right now. And more than that, just like they're the way they think. We've seen it, like just the way the vice president moves around, the way he struts, and
Mm.
that thing that just awful where he was groping. I don't even like to say their names, but they're like this perversion. The
Oh,
this
the
big
Charlie
widow
Erica
meat.
Kirk
Yeah, I don't even like to say his name.
thing.
But
No,
yeah, and
I
like
know,
they're
but
embraced, and then he's
yeah,
berating his wife's faith in front of her as he's engaged in this inappropriate embrace with her. Just there's
yeah.
all these things going on, and that he's beyond accountability, and that's really the reality of what creates all these abuses in our country today. Is we have this patriarchal mindset where these powerful men claim for themselves
Hmm.
that they're. And one of the things I do is when I see guys like that, I just make them. I look at them until they turn away. Like I'm just out in public and I think just a small act like that, I just give them this look, and they will look down because they like that bullying mindset is all about making us turn away. So the
Yeah.
note I wrote, the one that was the most popular one or most reshared one from last week, was when I said we should pass the Sex Trafficking Compensation Act that would state if a man is found to have engaged in any form of sexual act with a girl or boy who's been trafficked, child receives 100% of his assets. All you have to do to avoid punishment is not have sex with trafficked children. And then I want just this discussion to get started. And you get this though when you're reading the book and Giuffre's book. She's talking about the way these things work is they have the island, and he gets his people that are politicians and their professors and everything. They come out and go have a massage, and it's all implied rather than stated. And I just know that when these files come to light, they're going to claim, well, I just thought that was, I didn't know anything untoward was going on, even though they damn knew well what was going on.
Yeah.
That's why all these men are afraid of this. But just like the arguments, and we have to, even more than just demanding the release of the files, we have to change how we talk about all these issues. And we need to demand more accountability for these abusers. And just a statement like this saying, okay, you're guilty of, you raped a child who was sex trafficked, you have just forfeited all your assets. And just to talk
Yeah.
about that, put that out there. And then, because what we're going to do is we're going to see the Republicans start to hem and haw and say why we can't do that. And then we win. If we get them sitting there defending these heinous acts, it's a confession of guilt again and again. And the reality is we are all indoctrinated to just not even bring these things up. There's a point in the book where she, right in front of her family, she tells her dad, what? Only you can sexually assault me? She says this to her uncles and stuff around there. Only you are the one who is allowed to rape me? And the whole family just doesn't act like it was never said. And this is why these things continue, This is why these things go on, because we say it at Thanksgiving dinner. We let our just abhorrent uncle get away with his out of bounds comments, what he's just saying to provoke us. And I grew up in this kind of situation too, where people would say things that were just inappropriate just to get a reaction from people. And our reaction needs to be, get the fuck out of this house. And you can beg for forgiveness for what you said. And once you are accountable and you can model responsibility, you can come back in. But we are not going to have, because that's how this grooming starts. They make these
Yeah.
boundary pushing comments. They keep adding and adding and adding until they're raping kids. And we just have
Yeah.
to have these frank discussions about this.
Yeah. And yes.
It's a hard
Yes.
transition. It's a hard transition.
No, it's
Yeah.
I think you're right. Is we have to have these discussions. I think we have to call out the hypocrisy of the words that the Republican Party uses and the actions that they do. But I think it's like you said, it's more than that. It's we have to just get away from the partisanship of it, and it's just not just get away from the partisanship. It's Republicans who are doing this, but we need to and who are enabling it, but we need to get people behind the scenes to just be like, this is fucking gross and wrong, and everyone should be against this. Like, if you're talking about this to somebody at home, at least in my point of view, like if you're talking to somebody you know in person who is a Republican, you don't have to be like, hey, you Republicans, you're all sex traffickers and abusers. You can say the people you voted for are sex traffickers and abusers. The people who you voted for are raping kids and
Mhm.
selling them. And the people you voted for are disappearing Latino children and anyone who's not white children, specifically Hispanic folks. They're disappearing those children and putting them somewhere. That's human trafficking. They're
Yeah.
trafficking children, and it's okay to tell people that who
Yeah.
you voted for are doing this. And it's shameful. And you should feel shame for voting them for them. And then what you gonna do about it? Does
Yeah.
that make you feel bad that you voted for this shit? What you gonna do about it to stop it?
Yes. I want to say too, a couple people have shared some kind of heartbreaking things in the comments, and all you guys are survivors. I mean, just more strength, more power to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I think everybody, I mean, I know that I've endured some things, and it's just, I mean, do what you can. I mean, we all have to survive but it's so important to speak out, and the more that we can speak, but if you don't feel comfortable speaking out, you don't feel an obligation there anyway. I just want to express solidarity with all of you guys. I hope you all have managed to,
Yeah.
find your stable footing, and you'll find people who treat you the way you deserve to be treated, because nobody deserves to be treated like that. It's just so heartbreaking to me every time you look around, like just our whole mechanism for how parents treat kids in the United States. I mean, there's so much hardship here, and there's so many times, I'll go and help coach my daughter's basketball team, and
Mm-hmm.
I just try to always say good job to everybody, because I know a lot of those little girls have never had an adult man just say good job. You did a good job. I just try
Yeah.
to do that. You can see their eyes light up, and it's just a little thing like that. And never underestimate just that tiny little kind word or act, or showing to somebody that you care, or that you reassure them that they are important, that they matter. That goes so far. Just a tiny little bit can be enough to sustain a whole life. So
Mm-hmm.
again, thank you for sharing on the chat here. Those have been some
Yeah.
heartbreaking comments, but thank you for your strength and courage.
Yeah. And it saddens me that so many people have these experiences and like that it's so prevalent and common. Like, that's the sad part. That's the
Yeah.
sick part out of all of this is it shouldn't be prevalent or common. It should be out of the norm for children to be sex trafficked or to be raped or to be assaulted or any of it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
not normal.
yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be the normal, but it feels like it is. It
Yeah.
feels like
Yeah.
it really is right now.
Well, that mechanism of authoritarianism, these
Mm,
patriarchal systems tend to lead to this, and that the father figure can never be wrong, and anything he do when he's never held accountable, this is the inevitable result, and we've all been indoctrinated with this. I talked with Will Ford about this a lot, where we're conditioned to just not challenge certain narratives and certain mythologies. We're not allowed to challenge. We put our heads in
mhm,
the sand, and just I this last 10 months I've really started to overcome these things. But prior to that, I was, you're trying to work within a system, and you're thinking to yourself, well, it can't be that bad. But then, so this is why it's so important to read Virginia Giuffre's book, because it just kind of is that
mhm,
last puzzle piece, where it puts things in place where you're like, okay, now I see the line from beginning to end. And because normally we take out and we just protect ourselves by not recognizing the reality of the abuses that are going on, that are the inevitable result of these
mhm,
hierarchical systems, these unjust systems that enable. We enable those systems. We have to challenge them more. You're gonna face pressure, though. I mean, and we have to break that cycle. And that's another thing. Most of my life, when I finally broke off contact with my father, what always has been my guiding light since then is I'm going to do the things. I'm going to look forward to my kids, and I'm going to do the right things for my kids, and I'm not going to be around toxic people that make me angry. So then I come home and then I'm angry when my kids are there. My kids deserve a household that's happy, where they feel welcome and warm. And the people that are toxic influences, there's no place for them. They have to, and first you remove them, you get yourself straight. And then little by little, as 25 years have gone
Yeah.
by, I'm getting to the point where I can encourage other people to turn away from that hate. But I mean, we don't have to do everything at once. All of us, each of ourselves, take care of yourself first, take care of your kids. And as long as everything you do is for the best interest of your kids, you're on the right path then, even if you don't see the way. Because I went into this blind with nothing else but an idea. It's like I brought my baby home from the hospital just thinking, what? I'm just not going to hurt her. I'm not going to hurt her the way I was hurt. And 15 years later, these are stunning rewards. But I've had to turn away, and I've had a lot of pressure from people that want me to go back to being an enabler of abusive structures, and I refuse. I refuse to do that.
Yeah, and there's no need to enable the abusive structures, because we can be better than that very easily. Like, it's an easy choice to be better than the abuse that, or at least in my eyes. I don't know. I don't have the same level of abuse as some people do. Like, I had really loving and really supportive parents. I have really loving and really supportive parents. And I grew up in a household that wasn't broken in any way. And I feel really fortunate. And I feel like that should be the norm. It's like what I had should be the norm for everybody. Is everybody should be able to have a household where your parents love and care about you and do everything they can to make your life amazing as a child. Like, I never felt unloved. I never felt unwanted. I never wanted to run away. I didn't do crazy things growing up. Like, I let myself relax more when I was in college, and enjoy myself. But I still always knew I had supportive and loving parents who, I felt safe. I had parents who cared. And I think that's something that we need to have more open, expressive discussions about, especially on like long form discussions, where like you and I sit down with some other dads or something, and we just talk parenting and what it's like to be a dad and what it feels like to be a dad, and how you can act as a dad, and the things you do to make yourself better and challenge yourself, and give dads a space and young men a space to see what fathers could look like, or just adult men could look like. And we see the manosphere, and I want to make something. At this point, I want to make something better than the manosphere. I want you to be a part of that with me, is what I'm also saying.
I think it's
and
so
you already are.
Thank you, sir. Yes, no, but it's so necessary, because people, and I did an article not too long ago, and my work gets aggregated on this conservative page. So I went and looked at the comments on the conservative page, and they were so hostile. But the story was about this time. Yeah, well, and the story was about this time I took my girls out on the stand-up paddleboard. Some of you might have read it. And my one daughter didn't want to go into the water, but I accidentally capsized the paddleboard, so she got wet. So she's in there mad at me. And my response was, well, you can toss me in too, And she's just like, Daddy, it's like, that's just me hurting you. We're not on this earth to hurt each other. And it was just this. And this is what I was talking about before, because we're so indoctrinated, because I grew up on the playground. Somebody hit you and they'd say, okay, you can hit me back. And now it's even. And then we go on. And what we need to follow is an ideology where we don't hurt each other to begin with. And then the extension of that is, oh, if somebody hurts me, I can hurt them back. And it took my daughter saying to me, it's like, Daddy, that's just ridiculous. What good does it do me to hurt you? And it's just like, here. And this is so important, like our kids are teach us things they know. And it's just, that's the other thing. I've committed to letting my kids be my teachers, and to, submit to their pure and loving perspective of the world. I mean, my job is to be, the roof over their head and the food, because they can't go out and work, but they do have better insight, because they haven't been programmed with hate yet. Because hate is something that's learned. Hate is learned.
Yeah.
And that's the United States has to understand that. And then, but then I go onto that conservative page and they're just like, what the hell? Tell the kid to get over it. They're given exactly what you'd think. And they couldn't see the argument I was trying to make. And it's just so toxic for them because they just don't understand that it's not that one act isn't going to destroy your relationship with your kids all by itself. But that sequence of acts that comes up from that ideology where every time you hurt them, you're like, get over it, get over it, get over it, get over it. And the next thing they know, the kids are 16 and they left the house. They never want to talk to the old man again.
Yeah.
And the other article I wrote today was how conservatives have a much higher rate of suicide and just death. They just die. I mean, this toxic mind virus, you take that into your mind, you take it into your heart, it's going to kill you. You're in a shorter life. You're going to drive away love. You're going to cut yourself off from love. And, if to talk about that, we just have to stop about, let's just please stop sex trafficking of innocent children, or just all children to stop the sex trafficking. Let's have those talks because they're so good. They're so good at deflecting us from these conversations. I did see that Hakeem Jeffries just came out and said the GOP is running a pedophile protection program. Good for him for saying that. Good. And I mean, all these things are a distraction, all the things that are going on. It'll tie into your note, Nick, too. But I mean, it really comes down to this. There's all these rich and powerful people. They feel emboldened. And it's that mind virus of the patriarchal mind virus. They never want to face accountability. They never want to be seen as wrong. Once they have wealth and power, they think they can do anything to anybody. And we have to dismantle that mechanism. And that mechanism is supported in a lot of different ways. Some of which I don't even recognize yet. I'm uncovering new ways that it is supported every day. And every one we knock down, we come closer toppling that whole mechanism of abuse that has been here since the beginning. So,
and then we can hold those who have not been held accountable. Like Matt Gaetz can be still held accountable for his actions.
They got the files on him, They got the files.
Mike Johnson probably has some shit on him. And
I think it got released, actually. I saw a link that it was released. Like, they're just like, he's not in Congress anymore, so we lose the authority to prosecute. It's like, wait, give it to the police then.
Yeah, that's bullshit. You don't lose the authority. You guys, they have been verbally prosecuting and verbally indicting and looking into the Biden family for years. They have been ripping through private citizens' lives who were not Joe Biden at the time while he was president for years. So shut the fuck up. Like, MAGA, you guys shut the fuck up. You're not victims of anything. Like, other than your own idiocracy and your own patriarchal system that tells you that you have to be oppressed, that's all you're victims of. You're not victims of us. We didn't do it to you. You're doing it to your fucking selves. And part of that oppression is I'm gonna switch into my note, is the Trump and Pete Hegseth considering military strikes against Nigeria for persecution of Christians and labeling the Nigerian government as Islamic terrorists, while the U.S. persecutes Christians daily. We are literally putting Christians into concentration camps right now because they're the wrong skin color or socioeconomic status, because they are considered illegal. No human is illegal. No human is an alien. They're just immigrants. They're just migrants. They're just people who are trying to immigrate into our country, who we are putting into concentration camps and shit like that and killing them. Most of them are Christians. Most of the people coming into America, or who are in the U.S. already, not America, coming into the U.S. I've heard that we're called staters abroad by a lot of people, or some places.
I always heard expats, Americans called.
No, expats. But like if we're still in America, if we're not expats, if we're still from the States but we're traveling, I feel like it's like. We're called staters in some places. At least when I was in Panama, that's what we were referred to as. But people in the U.S. are the Republican regime, fascist regime in the U.S. is persecuting Christians daily, who are coming from Central southern
Yeah.
North American countries that we would consider Central America.
Yep. I'm glad you brought that up, Nick. That's something I've mentioned that a couple times to people because they're Roman Catholic in South America, and the United States is Protestant
Mhm,
largely. So what we have is a religious war, is what's
mhm,
going on right now, and
yeah.
and that's another thing that few people discuss this. But I mean, we're stuck right in the middle of a religious war again, and then but this note that you're right with like this. The emphasis on the persecution of Christians. What is it? I don't even know what that means. Because they seem to
Apparently, they're killing Christians, like specifically in Nigeria, is what the claim is by the U.S. government and the U.S. fascist regime that's in charge right now, the Republicans, and calling them Islamic terrorists because they need a terrorist, they need a war of some sort.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
fomenting war because they need to destabilize. They don't actually want to start a war in Nigeria, they just want to threaten them
yeah,
until they stop persecuting Christians. I don't know if the Nigerians are actually persecuting Christians. If they are, I hope they stop.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want anybody persecuted. Also, the US needs to stop persecuting Christians and Catholics and Jews and atheists and non
yeah,
denominational and everybody else. We're persecuting them on the regular. So
yeah, yeah,
just because they're quote brown, like because their skin color, um, because they're not white enough. Um, and so we want to start a war or possibly just strike in Nigeria for no fucking
yeah,
reason and destabilize them, so we can further destabilize the world and make it more authoritarian friendly,
yeah.
um,
Well, and then they
and
just
call
want to
them
distract.
terrorists
They just
because
want
then
to
they can use
distract.
global war on terror. But yeah, it's all a distraction from the fact that the Republican Party in the US has become the American Fascist Party, or AFP, matching the Germans group name, is they are a fascist party that is purposely dismantling the federal government, shutting it down, holding it closed on purpose on vacations, permanent vacations. None of the Republican congressional members are in DC. They're all at home or somewhere else. They're
Yeah,
not at DC. The Democratic congressional member representatives are. They're all there. They're there
yeah,
working. They're there trying to do a deal. Republican representatives, however, are not. There might be like Thomas Massey, he might be there, but Mike Johnson sure as fuck ain't doing anything. And they've closed the government to protect pedophiles and to prevent the release of the Epstein files and to help distract and stop Americans from thinking about that, the fact that our government is run by pedophiles. They're going to try and start a war, most likely try and start a world war to do it because it implicates multiple governments around the world and it would collapse some of the big bad shit that's going on, from Putin to Netanyahu to Trump at the very least. We've already seen one of the royal family members in Great Britain, get his title stripped away because of sex
yeah,
trafficking,
yeah.
because of this specifically, because one woman, one commoner wouldn't shut up. One
Yes,
common woman would
yes,
not shut up,
yeah. The
and
bravery.
we need more men to believe these women who aren't
Oh,
shutting up
yeah,
because they don't need us to tell their story. They need us to amplify that story and believe it and show other men that it's not okay to live that way
yep,
and do those things and actively prevent people in our lives from doing that and lying about things like Nigeria persecuting Christians. So we
yeah,
get to somehow call them terrorists. We're persecuting Christians.
yes.
Other
Well, I
Christians
got
in America are persecuting Christians daily because they're not white enough. Like, this is fucked up and we can talk about it.
Yeah, Natasha K's been putting some very interesting comments in here where she says it's half Muslim, half Christian, but and it is so difficult to just sort through the lies that come out of this administration and from the right in general because a lot of time It's really upsetting. I was talking with Will Fullwood about this too, where people will say this has always been a Christian nation. Well, that's not true. But what is true about the United States is it's always been a nation of white supremacy. So
Yes.
this regime and what you've seen is that they often use the word Christian as like an appropriate stand-in word for their white supremacy ideology, and that's something. And you know what? We're saying good men have to stand up. Good Christians have to stand up too, because the reality is the name of Christianity is being smeared by these white supremacists. As we always see that the white supremacists, they take over otherwise good comments and or concepts and try to make them their own, and they pervert them. So we have to have more religious people, more people in the religious community saying exactly what Nick's saying, that the people that come up from South America across the border, they're all Roman Catholic. They need to stop being persecuted. But it's like anything out of this administration, the only people they care about, they only care about the white people, and that's always they're very clear about this. They're not, except for like stating it overtly, but we know, like, the whole white supremacy ideology, they speak in code. They have their dog whistles, and with if you're in the know, when they invoke some of these terms that are supposed to get a reaction out of their street troops that then go forth and commit violence, which they hear. We have to condemn violence in all its forms, and it's upsetting. And just this, what you're saying here, this where they're trying to set the groundwork for murder. It's more murder. They keep murdering the people in the boats. They're not going through the proper procedures for how you conduct strikes. They're just doing whatever the
Mhm.
hell they want at any point. They're committing crime after crime after crime. Innocent people are suffering and dying. Good people have to be more vocal, and
Yeah.
some of they make it difficult to sort it out where it is, and they're very good at turning us against each other. But we have
Yeah.
to do more.
Yeah. And to add clarity onto what's going on in Nigeria, is I'm reading some of the news around it. I read a little bit from The Hill and Politico on this just to get some interesting information. Is the information that they're using to blame Nigeria as persecuting Christians is from 10-year-old, more than a decade old
Mm,
reports about
yeah,
Islamic extremism during the more closely during the height of the global war on terror while we were in the Middle East, and a group called Boko Haram was formed. They weren't really anti-Christian; they were anti-U.S. Like in the long run, like
yeah, yeah,
that was really more what they were. Is they were anti-globalist U.S. And
yeah,
anti. Um, they didn't like us. They don't like us. But it's decades old reporting. Like that's that's not a way or a reason to start a war over a decade later. You don't just get to do that, especially while you're persecuting Christians in the US actively on a daily basis, who are in concentration camps or in ICE detention facilities and not getting
yeah,
medications, separated from their children, don't know where their children are,
yeah.
lost in the
Holy cow!
system somewhere, disappeared, maybe in some random hotspot in a medical incinerator in the Florida Everglades. We don't know because there's no
Yeah,
oversight being done, because Congress has shut itself down to protect pedophiles and is refusing to do their jobs. Specifically, Republican congressional members have shut down Congress behind Mike Johnson and are refusing to do their jobs and are allowing the Trump regime to get away with whatever they want because one of our branches of government has abdicated its role as article and its
yeah,
Article 1 powers. Article 1 of the Constitution is Congress. Article 1, the
yeah,
first fucking thing. The first thing of our founding documents is about Congress, is their legislative powers, not the executive, but Congress. Like,
yeah.
Congress needs to do their jobs, and if they refuse to, we have to start talking about recall elections. And if there's no mechanism in your state to do a recall election, then you need to start advocating in your state to change that, because we can do
Mhm.
that, because states are supposed to respond to their citizenry, and that
Yeah.
requires voting. And there's a lot of voting coming up, and today there is voting going on. New York
Yes.
City is voting.
Yes.
There's a couple other places voting. Like Mamdani is hopefully going to become the new mayor of New York.
Yeah.
And also, actually, this goes into what we were talking about to close out our show a little bit. Is I was listening to the Find Out podcast this morning, and they were talking about this. Is this could be a really interesting and dangerous moment for the U.S., but also a really interesting and good moment for the U.S. to show the desperation of the Trump regime,
Yeah.
as well as its weakness,
Yeah.
and the fact that Americans don't want what Trump is selling. Is if Mamdani wins, and say, I don't know if it's today, is the New Jersey governor race.
I believe there is. There are a bunch of them today. Yeah.
Um, And so if, yeah, it's New Jersey government race, governor's race is going on today. So if New York City, New Jersey, places in Washington, Virginia, has its gubernatorial race today as well, I
Yeah.
believe it is. Thank you in the audience for saying all those things. So if Democrats sweep all of these, they were talking about this.
Yeah.
The biggest two threats that come out of this are around Trump, are Prop 50 and Mamdani winning. The unexpected but good one will be when, not unexpected, but the more important one, I think, in the long run will be the Virginia governor's race, because that is pretty well going to be a referendum on the shutdown itself and all the federal workers they were talking about. But the two, I want to get your opinion on the split for Mamdani and not what I want.
Balloons.
Balloons, not what I wanted.
That was beautiful. No, it was good. Yeah.
So this is going to split Donald Trump and his regime's attention. Is when Mamdani wins and becomes the mayor of New York. Donald Trump now has to decide which of the two things he can focus on, because he can only focus on one thing at a time. Really, does he attack most likely through ice and verbal and other things? Does he attack Mamdani because he hates him, and because he's going to be successful in New York in a way that Trump never was, and he's jealous and he's a petty man? Or is he going to have to focus on Prop 50 when that passes in a landslide coming for it?
Yeah.
Like, if that passes in a landslide,
Yeah.
what's he going to do? Like, what's he going to focus on then? Is he going to focus on Newsom, who could run for governor or run for president? And I don't like Newsom. He's not the person I would want as president in any way, shape, or form. But he's also not Trump, and that's a starting point.
Well, I'd say right now, I'm not even the president's not even somebody I'm thinking about. And I'm more concerned with these centrist Democrats who are trying to prop up somebody like Adam Kinzinger, who, voted against the Voting Rights Act. They're trying to present like this status quo guy. Oh, this guy could be a good option. Fuck you. We need somebody who's straight up Medicare for all in there. And I just want to make a point too, because we were kind of discussing just now some kind of tough issues, and we were making some comments, and we were balancing between, how the Republicans use the word Christian and how white supremacy comes into that. And the kind people in the comments were offering statements, and we were offering corrections. And it's so important for us to not fall into this, because there are so many mechanisms out there to make us divided and make them start fighting with ourselves, with our potential allies. And this week I published another note, and I got this weird set of attacks. And they weren't like the typical where they were insulting me and calling me names. It was more like they were using these really complex arguments to divert.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody writes in and she says, as a black woman, I agree with this other person. but then she didn't capitalize black woman. So I went and talked to Zuri Stevens, and I'm just like, is this a legitimate post? Would they? And she says, this is not. No, she's like this. So there are. What I'm trying to get to is there's another whole bot army out there
Mm-hmm.
that pushes the centrist Democrats that make us unwilling to make the statements of the things that we want. The important things, get rent down, have food be affordable, have access to education and healthcare. And we just have to be really careful because the next pivot they're going to make, instead of giving us the things we want, like the future that we get from Mamdani or AOC, or I think Kamala Harris is part of it too. I wrote my article. I think she's been working within the system, but I think she's very much trying to get a much better world. And she's getting all these criticisms. They're like, well, she's just a corporate Democrat too. I don't think she is. I think they deliberately sabotaged her because she is not.
Yeah.
And that's where the fight is now. And I don't think we should even engage with the Republicans anymore at this point. We just have to kind of keep pressuring, our Democratic representatives to actually stand up for what the people say that they want. And they keep indicating loudly what they want.
Yeah, they do. They want somebody who will fight for them, who believes in the same values as them, who wants people to be able to vote and have a record that isn't voting against the Voting Rights Act or isn't against giving women access to health care. Like, I think we're all there, that people need all of those things. I've been there for a long time, but
yes,
we need more people. I think so many more people are starting to just really get there. It's like we have to openly talk about the things we want and need and know are true and right, and stop propping up a fake Republican Party to try and, why are we recuperating the Republican Party? Like, why is the Midas touch recuperating the Republican Party?
Yeah, no, that's all they focus on. And they give all their money to these reformed Republicans to silence the voices on the other side, like us, who are trying to say, look, we deserve these things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of what I like, that whole mechanism that enables these abuses to continue. Part of that is that we have been conditioned to think we shouldn't demand, better treatment. You get this in any abusive situation. You're working. You say, I actually deserve a raise because I can't live like this. Well, you should be grateful you have a job. It's the same thing. It's the same abuses. It's the same exploitation. We do it on this nationwide scale. You tell the population this is the best country ever and that they're evil if they demand to be treated like with human dignity. And that's what we have to overcome. And little by little, and every single one, thanks you all the wonderful people to hear, 233 people, take that advice into your heart, demand a better world for yourself and for your kids. There is nothing wrong with that. Take care of yourself first, second, third in life, and then help the people around you too. And we have to change our minds until we start embracing that.
Yeah. And a final piece on that is somebody PJ put it in the chat. Comment about it, about Vance and pushing aside Usha to marry Erica Kirk. We can normalize that is not okay. Like, people need to be reminded that it's not okay to fucking leave your wife and your kids for political gain to marry the spouse of somebody who is just murdered. Like, she's being used as a prop, either by choice or by force, and that's not okay. 2, fuck, man, that's gross. Like, what a horrendous thing to do to your family. What a horrendous
you got a vulnerable, bereaved person. Yeah, it's just awful. This whole thing is so awful.
Yeah, JD Vance, you're an abuser, is what makes you look like. That's what it is you're an abuser, is because that's an abuse. That's what abusers do. And fuck, that's gross, man. Like, you have kids and a wife who loved you, who were happy with you, and or at least looked it on the outside. You had what looked like a beautiful marriage, and you're throwing that away for naked political corruption and power. Like, you're a disgusting human being. And the idea that you're leaving your wife to do that is gross. Like, people can be reminded of that, and that's not political. That's just moral. Like, it's morally wrong to leave your spouse to marry somebody who married the widow of somebody else who was just murdered for political power. Like that's a what we are conjecturing, most people are conjecturing, and it looks like is what is happening, of JD Vance
Yeah, it's strange.
leaving his wife to marry Erica Kirk for political power and political gain, which is disgusting as fuck. But anyway, to leave on a better note is,
Yeah.
Walter, where can people find and support you, my friend?
Oh yeah, so wonderful. I'd rather be writing. You can see it there here on Substack. I appreciate all you guys. And yeah, like just be, I mean, I always say don't take food off your table. I know we're all facing economic headwinds this year, but just if you see those accounts with the purple check mark, that means they have tens of thousands of subscribers. A lot of them are supported extra. I mean, if people are already millionaires, consider supporting smaller Substacks like Nick and I, because as things get tougher, we're the ones that are going to be targeted. We're spreading the message of universal health care. You saw Schumer the other day where they asked him who's he going to vote for, and he refused to answer. So we got a whole lot of establishment Democrats where just as interested in not working for the people as the Republicans are in taking away everything from us. So please consider supporting Nick and I over those other groups. We need something new, and don't settle for going back to the way it was, because it wasn't good enough.
Thanks, Walter. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Go become a paid or free subscriber with Walter. It really, really helps.
It does.
And then also, I'm trying out a new logo that Stephanie Wilson helped put together for all of us. So this is Sick of the Ship Publications. I'm Nick Paro. And come hang out with me too. Like, if you want more of my music and things like that, where I could actually do this really long-term full support, help become a paid sub. I'm running a 50% off sale. If I could get close to or into the solid orange check mark, which means I have at least 1,000 subscribers, I could possibly do this more like full time forever. Like, I would love all the support and help from everyone. Free really helps too. Like, don't think that just want you to come and become a paid sub, but free really helps too. All the shares, all the love, all the hearts that you hit on the live chat really help, gets the word out for us really fast. And invite your friends, forward all these things to your friends and your family, forward your emails, share it, discuss it in person. That's the next step, is talk about it. Talk about what we've talked about. Use the right words. Use what we've talked about. And you want to hear more of my music, I will gladly start putting it up, but I will ask for more paid subs just before I get to that point, so that I can get that music out there to more people. I'd love that idea, but please come help become a paid sub with me. Help me get over 200. That would be awesome.
That music was beautiful. Thank you for reminding us to listen to classical music. Turn off your televisions and listen to classical music. Be mindful of your mental health, everybody. Please, we need all of you. We absolutely need all of you guys and we are going to make it through this. I feel every day, I feel like we're getting more power. We're going to get there, and we're going to do better. It's going to go, the pendulum's going straight through.
Yep.
We're going to make sure we have healthcare for everybody. We're going to make sure we're going to have education for everybody. We're not going to stop fighting until that's what we have. And our message isn't going to change. And it's all because of you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all. Also, thank you, Walter. Appreciate it so much. And as always, everyone, let's stop being sick of this shit and let's start doing this shit.